Hey guys, I'm Sydney and I'm gonna have kids in my own time.
And that's on period, sis. Hi guys, I'm your host Mandii B, and welcome to yet another episode of Period Sis Podcast. Really excited about this one this week, guys. Look, it's no secret that values shift from generation to generation. It happens, we're seeing it in real time, literally. And studies show that baby boomers value security, consistency, and family planning, and are also willing to sacrifice values such as joy in exchange for stability, and so many more things, right? So millennials, on the other hand, care more about freedom and career, mobility, traveling the globe, getting those passport stamps, and also have taken comfort in having reproduction tech advancements on their side. Listen here, we have apps to help us know when we're even ovulating, all right? Today, I'm joined with 38-year-old Sydney, the owner of Cherry Picking Juices and Goods in Louisville, Kentucky, also co-founder of Official Box Owner Subscription Box, which you know birthed also this podcast, and she is also a great friend of mine. Today, we'll discuss how the loss of a parent impacted her thoughts on marriage and children, family planning, and more, as well as the pressure from family and friends to have a child and the constant reminder of her biological clock. We know they love telling us it's ticking, right? Also, how she's been able to experience her own version of motherhood. Sydney, you're here.
I know, I'm so nervous, but I'm so excited at the same time.
Y'all, this is like my real life friend. Also, I give you credit for this all really coming together. I don't know if I've really shared, there's probably so many of you listening newly, but Sydney let me know we needed products, is the co-founder of Official Box Owner, and with that, of course, I know how to podcast, which brought about Period Sis. Yep. And so I'm glad that season 2, you're able to come on and kind of share a bit of your story. Y'all, my friend is now in Louisville, and I was like, just so you know, you're coming on the podcast if you come to New York, and here you are. So thank you for coming on, and you better not be shy, Miss Ma'am.
I know, I'm gonna try. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to see where you've taken. You went from Official Box Owner, you had Period Sis, and now it's about to get bigger and better. So I'm so excited and I'm proud of you as always.
So we just had the conversation recently, and I wanted to definitely have it here on this podcast. So you were 38 years old, and though you have no kids, you are not battling the pressures of society or the biological clock telling you you need to hurry up and have a child. And so I kind of wanted to dig back into your childhood a little bit about your, I guess, maternal instincts, if you've always wanted to be a mom, to kind of present day. So let's go back to what growing up for you was like.
Absolutely. I know this sounds weird, but I had like the picture perfect family, I think, from birth to about 10 years old. My parents happily married. My brother and I were almost 3 years apart. They had been in love since they met freshman year of college, just like the cutest couple ever. I got to see their love. I got to enjoy their love. And, they poured into my brother and I for years. When I was 10 years old, my father, he played in the NBA. He went on to coach in the NBA. And his second year of coaching for the Bullets, which are now the Washington Wizards, we had all went on a cruise for the team. And he suffered a heart attack on the last night of the cruise and essentially dropped dead. Watching my mom lose the love of her life was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to see. I mean, sitting there watching it in person, but then watching her pain was just a lot for me because she told me, years later, she said lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. And that told me I don't think she knew in that point that she would never have that type of love again, right? So that family dynamic, that family unit, like, it stuck with me. Like, I wanted that. I wanted the husband. I wanted the boy and the girl. I wanted all of those things, and I think as I, moved into adulthood, I didn't want to settle for less than that.
Now, you were in a relationship where you played the role of a stepmom, and so you technically were a mom without giving birth. What was that experience like?
Absolutely. So I've always had a maternal instinct. My brother and I, he
Lucky you, because I don't, girl.
right? I've always had it. My brother would wish me Happy Mother's Day and piss my mom off on, on Mother's Day. She's like, that's my day. I earned it. But he'd give me my accolades too. But, through the years, my stepdad ran a grassroots program for 7 to 17-year-olds. So I was always a mom to somebody's kid.
Right.
And then I started dating this guy. He had taken 5 kids in from different countries in Africa. They were all athletes. And so we were raising 5 high school boys. And
Oh my
they
goodness.
became my kids. Like the love that I had for them, I started to understand motherhood in a different way, like looking forward to them coming home from school and sharing their day with me, you know, like as even when like fighting with them and arguing with them over grades or chores or things like that, like the love is different, right? And that was, I think once I was with the boys is when I really started to say, okay, I could do this motherhood thing, like for real, for real.
So then how long ago was that relationship?
That ended in like 2020.
Okay. So about 4 years ago.
Yep.
I want to know, during that time, raising five boys, what led you in that relationship to not want to have one of your own?
So I did.
Okay.
I did want one of my own, but it was, again, going back to my childhood and what I saw and what I knew of a husband, what I knew of a father, I did not see in my partner at the time.
Interesting.
And, you know, you get into these relationships with these people that you think are your end-all, be-all, right? And I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't align. And so the longer the relationship went on, I was like, I could never have a kid with him. Like,
Wow.
he would not raise my kid, you know, like even, you know, the family dynamics, like it didn't make sense for me and it wasn't in line with what I wanted for myself. So that was almost, that helped in the relationship because it was just like, you got to take those things serious, right? When you see those signs and make sure things in your life align. So
I think that's so brave. Like, there's so many women that are dating men and may not be able to see them as a husband or the father of their children based on different things. And they stay in those relationships, even though they know that they want a different end result and that end result isn't with who they're with. So you're with a partner now. You're 38, and I'm only bringing up that age because I have a friend recently who is now pregnant, and at 35, her OBGYN sent her to a geriatric OBGYN. And so in our 30s, me being 33 and not being pregnant, not wanting children, not having children, once we get to these ages, our families, society, men start to question our value. And, well, what are you doing? Why are you waiting so long? So I guess that's the conversation I want to have with you and probably so many other women listening. At 38, why don't you feel pressured to move forward with motherhood? What does motherhood look like for you at this age now? And with this new partner, can we get into that a little bit?
absolutely. Whew. And it's like a loaded
It's a loaded
question.
question.
It's super loaded, right? Like, I know I want kids, like, but I also know I would love a family for those kids. I would love to give them what I had when I was a child growing up. That was so special to me, and I think it was very, very, very instrumental in making me the person I am today, my family from 0 to 10, right? But I don't think I'm willing to compromise certain things, and I think, like, so I'm the oldest child, and my brother is married with 2 kids. He has the wife, and he has the boy and the girl. So that picture perfect family, he has it.
He has it.
Yeah. So, I mean, starting at his wedding, right? Everyone was looking at me like, you're next. He's been married 6 years now. So it's your next. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And even his wife, like, she asked me on a regular, when are you having kids? I need a niece and nephew of my own. I can't wait till you have kids. It's gotten to the point where now she's offered to be my surrogate. And
Oh, wow.
It's
I know that that's a loving gesture,
very much so.
but do you also take offense to that? Like, as a woman, another woman pressuring you to go ahead and get pregnant and have these children. Like, how do you receive that?
It's hard. It's hard from whether it's her, my mother, whoever. It's like, if I could do it right now and the situation was perfect, don't you think I would? Right? Like, if it made sense. But then it's just like, you see so many women, you alluded to it earlier, right? They'll settle for a situation and have kids in a situation and be whole miserable. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, and I'm not fearing potentially not having kids just so I could run around and just say I got one.
Now, you have the idea of a picture perfect family. We know that perfect doesn't exist, though.
Nope.
And so with also what we battle with scientifically with our bodies, how has that fear not kind of came across at all in this journey?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's definitely there, but I don't even think I look at it as fear. It's like, okay, you just need your game plan together. Right?
Okay.
So
what does a game plan look like at 38?
So my significant other's significantly younger than me,
Okay.
I'm 38. He's 33. I think he just
That
turned-
is not significant.
Shoot. Well,
Whoa. I thought you were about to say 15 years.
Well, okay, you're right, and that's good for me because I've gone younger than that. I've gone about almost 10 years younger. So, okay, cool. He's 33, and it's really not on his radar. It's on his radar, but
Okay.
you know, men, they want to check boxes first. They want this much bag in the bank, different
Yep.
things of that nature.
The right
where-
men, yes.
The right
No.
men. He's not, and I always tell him all the time, I say, you don't consider my clock, or you don't consider my age or that, right? But he knows very well my journey to motherhood really might not include him. And
wow.
I've made that very
What do you
clear.
mean by that?
Meaning when and if I get to the point where I'm like, okay, Sid, now you need to figure it out, I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to
wow.
utilize the resources available to me. And if he wants to be a father to the child, cool. But if not, that's cool too, right?
I've never heard that in reverse that way. Like most times men feel as though women make the decision with abortion without them. You're saying he doesn't consider my biological clock, but when I'm ready, whether he is or not, I want a baby, whether he's a part of that process or not.
Absolutely.
So you would consider surrogacy, adoption.
Absolutely.
And so it's not as important for you feel like your child to carry those same genes if you go the adoption route? Like, have you considered that? I know a lot of us
yeah.
want to see our features in another human being, but for you, is that not important?
It is important. I mean, I look
Okay.
at my niece and nephew. My niece looks just like me.
Wow.
And I look at them and I would love to just see a little me running around. And I sometimes say, look, I see it in her, right? And that's, to me, such a beautiful thing. But I know I've made these decisions, and I think it's just being okay with the decisions I've made in life of, you know, in my 20s, I lived, right? Like, in my early 30s, I lived. I probably started every business known to man. I've traveled. I've, you know, just done things that I wanted to do. So that's a sacrifice I made. And I got to be okay with that.
Only because men love to hop in the comments on this show. I would love to ask you, hopping into that mind, what would you say to someone who considers your mindset selfish, especially knowing you have a partner?
They might consider it selfish, but me as a person, I've been the most unselfish person. I mean, I've ran behind my brother, my other brother. You know, I'm the one in the family who will make sure the whole family's good. And we have been through some things over the years to where me making decisions about my body, I think I've earned the right to be selfish. And I think all women have. Like, if you make decisions, as long as you are okay with what comes out of them, that's on you. It should not be what the man thinks. Like, they're not going to be there at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, like, it's you have a different connection to that child. I would love the perfect family though, but at this point, the reality is I may not ever get that, and that's okay.
What are the maternal instincts that you miss the most with raising those 5 boys and kind of taking on motherhood essentially? What feelings do you miss the most from that?
You know, it wasn't until the relationship ended that I really experienced what I missed the most. And they always say the mom of boys, like the boys love their mother in a different way. It was things that they said to me that they said, we're so happy you left and you deserve this. And they poured into me in a way that you would think a kid would never even notice, right? But we notice things growing up in our household.
We do.
But we forget.
I mean, we actually put it in the back of our head as children. And then as we age, we start realizing the abuse or, you know, the things that were said, or we could really pick up where our parents were hurting. And they did that.
They did that. And
Wow.
when I saw the way they loved and looked after me and wanted to protect me, that was just like the most special feeling, most maternal feeling, because sometimes you think they don't care that I'm pouring into them or that I'm their mom because they call me their American mom. Like, you know, I thought they could give a rat's ass about anything I did for him. No, like it was a genuine love both ways that like you're only going to get from a child, right? It's an unconditional love that like you're not getting from a mate, you're not getting from your family, like you're going to get it from your child. So.
Or my cat, because that's where I get
That's
my
your
love
child.
from. Also my abuse. You know, it's an orange cat. It's a very unhealthy relationship. I want to go back into the doctor's office with you. I would love to know kind of what tests or what conversations are being had when you go for your yearly.
Yeah.
Or if you're seeing fertility doctors
Absolutely.
or kind of what those appointments look like now.
Absolutely. So going into the doctor, it's just like, their first question is, what is your plan? Like, what are you doing?
Oh, wow.
Like
Immediately.
They want to know. they want to know, have you thought about this? Have you thought about freezing your eggs? And I had gone to the doctor. It was right before the pandemic hit, and I was like, oh, it was you have time, right? And then the pandemic hit, and I think you just lost track of time. So when I think I came out of the pandemic, they were like, you should do it before 35. So I think I came out of the pandemic 35, 36.
Right.
My timeline's messed up. But regardless, it was like, I feel like I lost those years of being able to like really do it. And then again, I come out of the pandemic, I move, I start a business. So now I have a whole like business baby, like a brick and mortar business baby. And that's pushed time. You know, again, it's
timing. Yeah.
Timing is just not making sense for me right now as far as like family planning. So as of late, I had a friend recently who went through, I think, she went through fertility treatments. She just gave birth to a baby boy.
Oh, congrats to her.
Via IVF, and beautiful experience. Like she went through it, and she just was telling me, she was like, she said like her doctor privately told her like 35 is not necessarily geriatric at this point. She said you do have time to play with as far as that goes. Now, personally, my doctor and I have discussed that my mom attempted to have kids at 43, but she had her tubes tied, which they were, used to force women to do.
Yep.
Once
and now I have a friend actually asking to get her tubes tied, and they won't.
And they won't do it.
Even though she has two. Like, so the conversation now about tying tubes, I would love to have on this pod too.
Yeah.
I know friends that are literally like, oh girl, I'm done, and they won't. So I have 3 friends in the last month who actually just had the IUD. Do you know how painful the IUD somehow has gotten for these women? Mm-hmm. I don't understand. And so where we like to say we should all have a choice, we also have doctors telling us, nope, I won't do it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So the tubal is interesting because, so my mom got her tubes tied after my brother. She never imagined being widowed, right? And this is something maybe to mention to your friends. She never imagined being widowed. She was widowed at 34 probably, because my dad died at 34. She may have been 35. So she didn't imagine falling in love again and wanting to build a family with her new person, right? So when she did do that, she was like, okay, we want to have kids together. She couldn't. So she would have to get the tubal reversed. It's not guaranteed if you get it reversed that you're able to have children.
Right.
So then she was going to have to do fertility treatments, but they said they could not use her eggs because I think it was like, she was like 43 at the time. They were like, you may look young, but your eggs are old. And they basically were like, they could only use Curtis's sperm. So at that point, they decided not to do it because they didn't want a child that wasn't 100% genetically theirs.
So have you considered freezing your eggs at this moment now?
Absolutely. So
okay.
I'm looking at the fall, like that'll be 1 year in my business.
Okay.
And, that'll just give me a little bit of peace of mind just to,
We got to talk real quick before we get out of here. How expensive is that process? What is that process? Are you looking for doctors? Do you want a doctor of color? Like, kind of what does that look like for you?
Absolutely. I would love a doctor of color. One of my mom's friends is our OBGYN.
Amazing.
And would love to go to her. I haven't gone to her, but I would love to go to her. She saw my mom through her menopause journey. And my mom was flying to see her just because I think the trust was there, right?
Wow.
So I would love to go to someone that I had that trust with just because I think for me it's going to be an extra special journey. It's very expensive. Different insurances do help cover some of the costs.
Okay, good to know.
Which is amazing. So I think it's going to take research because not all doctors do that. Years ago I wanted to have home birth and all of this. That's all gone out the window.
Why?
Safety reasons, I think, for me.
Okay.
I do know someone who did have a home birth and did have complications, and they were later in age. So I think for me personally, just taking my behind to the hospital is just fine. But yeah, like just researching it all right now is just like doctors and different treatments. I think, what is it, IUI? My
IUI, yep.
She had that first 4 failed attempts with that before going to IVF. So she was like, go straight to IVF. She said, it's easier, pick the sex. I want to pick the sex. I want to go ahead and...
What's the sex you want?
A boy.
I knew it. I could have guessed that. I could have guessed that.
I can't do my own hair or makeup, let alone if it comes out girly.
If it come out girly, it's crazy. You said,
right.
Nope.
No, I need me a little boy, and I'll be good. Like...
I guess before we get out of here, I would love for you to speak to any women around your age that maybe are in fear of racing against the clock, what advice would you give to them to kind of sit in comfort with their age and their life decisions?
I think, just don't fear it, right? Do things in your own time, because when you do things in your own time, it's very hard to have regrets. I think when you do listen to other people or what society tells you, there comes a level of resentment when things don't go as planned or look like you thought they would look, right? So I think releasing yourself of that fear, also what's going to help you get pregnant, because stressing over it isn't going to help it. So it's just like releasing that and just being confident in your own self and your own decisions, because there's nothing like it. Like, that's truly owning. That's that feminist, that's that whatever, owning your body. That's what it really looks like to me.
I know that's right. Sydney, thank you so much for joining me. Y'all, again, this is real life. These are real life decisions, real life moments, and real life friendship. Thank you so much for joining me. And guys, let's take a quick break before we come back to Stats and Facts. What a great episode with my friend. Y'all, I really had to convince her to get on here, and I'm so glad that she did, to share her story. Now for Stats and Facts, all right? Family planning looks different for everyone, and we know that. Advancements in reproductive technologies have played a significant role in allowing women to kind of take their time to conceive and have children later in life and kind of just go with the flow. We love that for some of us, right? Some reproductive options, however, for women are these. You can do IVF, where the eggs are retrieved from the ovaries, fertilized with sperm in a lab, and then implanted into the uterus. That's an option that Sydney said she was looking for, as well as egg freezing for later use. Another option is donor eggs and sperm. For women who are unable to produce viable eggs, or for same-sex couples, this is definitely an option for them. And listen, as always, don't allow society to pressure you, your family, or family planning. It's important to listen to yourself and find resources and friends that support you and your decision on what you want to do with your life, because you only have one life to live, right? So make the choices that make you happy. And y'all, this has been another episode of Period Sis. Before we get out of here, we want to thank Bel Air for this beautiful set and sponsoring this episode of Period Sis. As always, make sure you rate, subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and head on over to YouTube where you can watch the full episode there. Thank you guys, and until next time, this has been another episode of Period Sis.